This is Adam, and he suffers from gout. Try Ural. It helps to prevent crystallization of uric acid crystals in gout therapy. Ural, effective urinary alkalinizer for gout.
Hello, I'm Camelia, and this is KiniNews. Former Sarawak Governor Abdul Taib Mahmud passed away today. He was 87 years old. According to his youngest daughter, Hanifah Hajar, Taib died at a private hospital in Kuala Lumpur at around 4:40 a.m. Taib had been receiving treatment at the private hospital since earlier this month. The last rites for Taib were performed at the National Mosque before his remains were flown back to Kuching, Sarawak. Following Taib's demise, condolences poured in from ministers who described it as a great loss to Sarawak and the country. The Sarawak government declared 2 days of mourning, during which flags will be flown at half-mast throughout the state, with entertainment events postponed. Meanwhile, messages of condolences have poured in since mourning for the late former Sarawak governor. Anwar, as well as his deputies, said his death was a great loss for the country.
Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim and his deputies Fadilah Yusof and Ahmad Zahid Hamidi have all described the passing of Abdul Taib Mahmud as a great loss to Sarawak and the country. Anwar posted a message on Facebook to express his condolences to the people of Sarawak and said, "We, especially the people of Sarawak, lost a respected statesman." The Premier added that Taib's deeds and services to the country and Sarawak will be remembered forever. Meanwhile, Fadilah had kind prayers for Taib and echoed Anwar's sentiment, saying his death is a great loss not only for Sarawak but also for the country. Zahid shared fond memories of his character and prayed for Taib as well. Zahid described Taib as an approachable person who was always concerned for the people. The Madani government spokesperson Fahmi Fadzil said the former Sarawak Chief Minister had contributed significantly to the development and modernization of the state. Taib, who was 87, died at a hospital in Kuala Lumpur at 4:40 a.m. today. The funeral arrangements were carried out at the National Mosque this morning before he was flown back to Kuching, Sarawak for burial.
An Umno leader has claimed that Dr Mahathir is trying to evade the Royal Commission of Inquiry involving the sovereignty of Pulau Batu Puteh. He also questioned Mahathir's previous decisions on the matter.
Umno Supreme Council member Mohd Puad Zarkashi believes Dr Mahathir Mohamad is making excuses to decline participation in the RCI involving the sovereignty of Pulau Batu Puteh. According to Puad, the former Premier's objection to former Chief Justice Md Raus Sharif leading the RCI is akin to him being afraid of his own shadow and should not be entertained. In a post on Facebook, he said Mahathir knows that the sin of losing one's territory is severe and cannot be forgiven for generations to come. He added the Rakyat want to know why he withdrew 2 review applications against the International Court of Justice's rulings that Singapore had sovereignty over Pulau Batu Puteh. Puad labelled Mahathir's actions at that time, when he was the Prime Minister, as mysterious. He questioned why the decision was not discussed in the Cabinet, why the decision was rushed, and why the need to put the then Attorney General on forced leave. On February 16th, Mahathir's lawyer Rafique Rashid said Mahathir may be advised to decline participation in the RCI if it continues to be chaired by Raus on grounds that he has a conflict of interest in the case. There is a history between the two, as Mahathir had in 2017 filed a judicial review to challenge Raus's appointment as an additional federal court judge. Puad said that Mahathir is least qualified to talk about conflict of interest, alleging the latter was purportedly embroiled in such matters while in power. The RCI was set up to review the government's decision in 2018 during Mahathir's time as the Prime Minister to withdraw 2 review applications against ICJ's rulings in 2008. On May 23, 2008, ICJ ruled that Singapore had sovereignty over Pulau Batu Puteh, while Malaysia had sovereignty over Middle Rocks.
Shafie has claimed that a letter of the details behind the Pardons Board's decision on Najib's pardon application was not confidential. He said it was a public document that had been served to Najib.
Lawyer Muhammad Shafi Abdullah said the letter he read revealing the details behind the Pardons Board's decision on the former Prime Minister was not confidential. Speaking at a forum on pardons reform, Shafi explained that the letter had been served to Najib and was a public document. He said the reason he had not divulged the full contents of the letter was because Najib did not give his permission to do so.
Supposed to be served on Dato' Sri Najib.
So they're not confidential?
They are not.
But you managed to share them with the media, the document?
No, I only shared what the seal of the Young Deputy Agong was. The content I never shared. Because I didn't get the permission from my client. It's not because it is confidential. In fact, I think it is humble to think that it is confidential.
Previously, Shafi had read excerpts of the letter which revealed that the Pardons Board had recommended that Najib serve out his remaining sentence. Meanwhile, though Shafi insisted that the letter he read out was not confidential, he said what transpired during the Pardons Board meeting does fall under the Official Secrets Act 1972. He said this applies particularly to Attorney General Ahmad Tadiruddin Muhammad Salih's opinion on the matter. Under Article 42(9) of the Federal Constitution, the Pardons Board must consider the AG's opinion if it is rendered. The AG is also part of the Pardons Board for each state as per Article 42(5).
An NGO has lamented the government's recent launch of the improvised Malaysian Code of Ethics for journalists. They claimed it's another attempt to restrict freedom of speech and expression.
Lawyers for Liberty have claimed that the recently launched Malaysian Code of Ethics for journalists is a backdoor way of reviving the anti-fake news law. Its director, Zaid Malik, said this is an attempt to control the media, where the credibility of any news and its sources will be determined by the government. The code contains 8 main ethics and will also be used as a reference for media accreditation card management. Zaid described the Information Department's authority in revoking media accreditation as a threat against the press. In a statement on its website, Zaid called the Code of Ethics an addition to existing draconian laws such as the Printing Press and Publications Act 1984, Sedition Act 1948, Official Secrets Act 1972, and the Communications and Multimedia Act 1998. He reminded Pakatan Harapan ministers of their past objections to government interference in media freedom when they were in the opposition. On that note, Zaid urged the government to expedite the establishment of the Media Council so that the latter could do its own self-regulation. Yesterday, during the launch of the code, Communications Minister Fahmi Fadzil said that compliance with the code will be supervised by the Media Council, which will be established later.
Still on the topic, the Deputy Communications Minister has come out to clarify the confusion surrounding the revamped Malaysian Code of Ethics for journalists. This came after questions were raised on whether there will be an overlap between the Information Department and the soon-to-be-established Media Council.
Deputy Communications Minister Teo Nee Ching has clarified that the Code of Ethics released by the Information Department yesterday was meant for press pass holders. She said the department and the planned Media Council can have their codes and operate independently. Responding to queries from Malaysia Kini today, Teo said the Code of Ethics launched yesterday was not a new document but an updated version which applies to its media pass holders. She stressed the department's Code of Ethics is for holders of the accreditation cards. Elaborating further, she said the Media Council will have its own code for its members. When asked further how the two sets of codes would be implemented if overlapped, Teo left the question to be answered by Minister Fahmi Fadzil. Yesterday, Fahmi launched the revamped code which contains 8 main ethics and will also be used as a reference for media accreditation card management. There has been pushback within the industry against the government's role in crafting and implementing the code and questions over potential overlap with the council. This is the first time the ethics manual, launched in 1989 by the Malaysian Press Institute, has been reviewed. Fahmi said compliance with the code will be supervised by the council, which will be established later. He also confirmed that the department is authorized to revoke media accreditation cards as it is also the agency that issues them.
The Human Resources Minister has warned that businesses cannot use salary deductions as a means to discipline their staff. He stressed that it was a violation of the Employment Act.
Human Resources Minister Stephen Sim Chi Keong has spoken out against an alleged move by a restaurant to punish its staff with salary deductions. According to a viral post, the list of deductions included a 100 ringgit penalty for staff taking medical leave and a 500 ringgit fine for those who smoke or vape during work hours, including toilet breaks. Sim reportedly told the New Straits Times that such practices violate Part 4 of the Employment Act 1955. He was quoted as saying that employers cannot deduct salaries except for items allowed by law, such as Employees Provident Fund, Social Security Organisation, and income tax. He added it cannot be used for so-called disciplinary measures, and the offence is punishable with a fine of up to 50,000 ringgit. Sim also urged those involved to lodge a report to the Labour Department for further action to be taken. The English Daily did not name the restaurant but showed the list with proposed deductions. The preface of the list explains that all responsibility lies with everyone, and if not reported, the penalties will be evenly imposed on all staff. The list has drawn backlash on social media, with many netizens calling for authorities to take action.
And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to Kinitv.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. If you'd like to support independent media, do consider subscribing to MalaysiaKini.com. I'm Camelia. Thanks for watching.